What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Renegade Animation on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I will be your host this evening. Joining me, as always, is my co-captain, Cameron.
Howdy, howdy.
And today we have an interesting mix. We have to start off talking about The Prince on HBO Max, followed by Centaurworld on Netflix. And while we are a little bit late on the timeline, we are still celebrating the 20th anniversary of Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away. But first, we've got some trailers to react to. So, Cameron, what do we got?
Well, we got two trailers that we need to talk about. The first one is the trailer for the TV series I Heart Arlo, the TV series based off of and follow-up from Arlo the Alligator Boy, the film way back in April. It looks cute. I mean, it definitely has like a TV feel to it. Like, it doesn't have that film vibe, if that makes sense, and look.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look that different from the movie, but just from what I can gather from the trailer, it definitely looks like this looks like something that could easily just play on like a network television.
Well, the film looked great, and the show looks great on a visual level. They are bringing back all the cast members from the film, so that means we'll have Michael J. Woodard, Mary Lambert, Haley Zhu, Jonathan Van Ness, Brett Gilman, Tony Hale, Annie Potts, Flea, Jennifer Coolidge, and Vincent Rodriguez III.
Band is back together.
Yeah, because that's not always a given. And then when it is a given that a cast member returns, they don't really matter. Or, like, I remember when the Kung Fu Panda TV series came out, Lucy Liu reprised her role as Viper, but then, well, she didn't talk a whole lot.
Oh.
But anyway, the show looks cute. Netflix is kind of burying this one, like a lot of their stuff recently.
It's the one thing it's that thing that will always bother me about them.
They need to stop thinking everything's going to be picked up by word of mouth, because then that leads to stuff happening like, oh, I don't know, them wasting millions of dollars on a Michael Bay film that didn't do well. So, yeah, you got to stop greenlighting things if you're not going to market them seriously. Stop doing it like a month before they're released, you know? But the series looks fun. It has like some of the same charm from the film, from what it looks like. I'm down for it.
Same.
Then we got the world premiere trailer for the upcoming Masaki Yuasa film that will be playing at the Toronto International Film Festival in UO. Man, that was a good trailer. Just the emotional ride that it pulled you through.
Yeah, we've been talking about this one for a while. It's like this and Belle are my two most anticipated animated films for the rest of the year.
Yeah, no, it just looks great, and it helps that like the art design is so distinct because the character designs are all done by the same person who did Tenkakken-Crete, which is a really visually stunning film. It looks exactly like something Masaki Yuasa would make, or like he would be like, yeah, this is what I want my film to look like.
It definitely has his flair to it.
Because then it makes sense, because if you watch Mind Game, there are some elements to that film that have the same Tenkakken-Crete vibe to it. And it just looks great. The music, the visuals, one of the main characters looks really distinct. I'm curious to see how that story unfolds with how they handle him. Because the preview made his birth looked nightmarish. And this was the preview from Annecy that I'm referencing. We saw the first, 5 minutes of the film? And
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and they showed the one character's birth. I'm sure you can see who it is from the trailer. It was definitely interesting. But of course, I have faith in Masaki Yuasa and Science Saru. It's a shame that this might be Yuasa's last film for a while, since he's going to be taking a break after this film's release. And I don't know why, but I'm sure it's because of what's going on with the world right now. G Kids is going to release the film next year. They say early next year, but I've also seen summer, but we'll have to see. I'm sure they're kind of lining it up through a roadshow kind of experience. You know, the roadshow through the festivals, and
Yep.
then once everything gets better, I hope, get vaccinated, they will release it theatrically like in January or something like before like the big award season push happens.
God, I hope so.
But I also can understand if they're saving it for next year since, well, when Belle gets a 14-minute standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah, I would want to stay away from Belle as long as possible.
I do hope they pick up Popele of Chimney Town and Luck Favors Nikuko, which are playing at Fantasia Fest. But we'll have to see. They also have, the Dear God and such. So they have their films. And I'm glad that G Kids is just finally releasing movies again.
Yeah, it seemed like they took a little break last year because of...
Yeah. But that's it for the trailers. We might have skipped one, but you'll just have to hear about the actual film next time.
For now, we have to talk about another bento box series.
I mean, do we have to? I mean, we could, fill up this time talking about knitting or, like, can you shoot tiny centaurs out of your feet, Mike?
I wish I could.
Yeah, because, it'd be a lot more fun than talking about the prince. Okay, so this is the show we've kept talking about, like, on and off. It was in such a start-stop production hell for years. And then, of course, Prince Philip died. And then it got delayed to this week. Oh, gosh. At least with the American animation scene, we're not flooded with shows every season like the anime season is. But that means that the worst shows in American animation tend to stand out more.
Unfortunately.
Exactly. The Prince is quite possibly, unless something else comes out, is the worst new cartoon of 2021. And I know you look at the trailer, which came out a day before its release, by the way. Always a good freaking sign of things to come. And it looks wildly just ugly to look at. And then you watch it in motion, and it still looks terrible. And then, well, you watch it. Mike, what are your quick thoughts?
My quick thoughts are fuck this show. This is awful. But it's a very specific kind of awful. It's an awful that is baked into the DNA of the very premise of the show. For those who don't know, this was created by Gary Janetti, who he's written for Family Guy and was an executive producer on Will and Grace, but most people know him, well, okay, to be completely honest, his only claim to fame, and I use that term loosely,
quote unquote,
is he gained attention for a satirical Instagram for Prince George, the son of Kate and William. So basically, this show is an extension of his dumbass Instagram, which is like making fun of a fucking 7-year-old.
Yep. That's the entire production history. He got so much mileage, apparently, from a terrible, pointless, wildly mean-spirited and sexist and racist Instagram account that someone at our 20th Television Animation, Bento Box, and HBO Max said, let's freaking do it.
And here's the worst part. There is talent attached to this. Like,
talk about the one positive of this train wreck of a show. For me, it's the voice cast.
I actually have a second one. The composer, Rupert Gregson Williams, he's done some genuinely amazing stuff. He's one of like Hans Zimmer's proteges,
Oh yeah.
and he's composed the score for Wonder Woman, Aquaman, a couple DreamWorks movies. His stuff is really good. His talent is wasted in this.
I don't remember any of the music.
Exactly.
So for me, the voice cast is what makes this. Well, I can't say it makes it tolerable because the script they work with is awful, but it is the most interesting part of the show. With the exception of Gary Janetti as Prince George, who is by far the worst performer on the show.
Easily.
We have Sophie Turner as Princess Charlotte, Ewan Rayon as Prince William, Lucy Punch as Kate Middleton, Prince Harry voiced by Orlando Bloom, Condola Rashad as Meghan Markle, Frances de la Tour as Queen Elizabeth, Dan Stevens as Prince Charles and Prince Philip, and probably the best one of the bunch, Alan Cumming as Owen.
Yeah, Owen was my favorite character because while it's kind of his job to tell Prince George like everything that he wants to hear, he's still just a genuine human being. The best episode of this series was his solo episode where, you know, it's his day off, so he's going back to the countryside, just spending some time for himself. And even though the annoying Prince George still like calls him every 5 seconds, it was nice to give this character the spotlight.
That was the only decent episode. And then there was one gag that I thought was kind of clever. It's when Kate and William are having an argument and they have their servants, the butler and maid, do stuff like stomp your foot, throw the vase, yell, slap.
That actually was kind of clever.
It's almost clever, but man, the thing that drags this entire show down outside of its ugly animation and designs are the characters. These characters suck. It doesn't work as like an It's Always Sunny or a Konosuba kind of, you're amused by how terrible these characters are. This is an Alan Gregory situation where the main characters are awful. Just the worst kind of characters and the worst kind of people. You can wave the whole like white flag of, but this is satire. No, you can't. You could, but you can't.
See, okay, to be completely honest, I don't really know that much about the royal family, but even if I did, I don't even know where the basis of the satire comes from.
Whatever there is very boilerplate. All of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's comedy is, oh, they'd be utterly worthless and stupid and won't make any money when they are cut off from the funds of the royal family. That's not interesting. It's not even a punchline. It's not even a joke. It's just Gary Janetti thinking he's clever by saying like, oh, ha ha, this is what would happen if they cut themselves away from the money. And it's like, they're not that stupid. Come on. And then the whole like Prince William and Kate Middleton thing, just leave each other. It's not funny when they drag this out and we have to look at these ugly designs that don't even work as caricatures of what they look like. And then there's like the subtle sexism of the show. It hits you over the face with a sledgehammer, subtle, with like Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles. And Camilla has no lines at all. She's like the Meg of the prince. She's the punching bag for everyone else, and for Prince Charles to basically deflect anything aimed at him onto her for her to get all the punishment from the queen. It's not funny. And it's
Nope.
really weird to see this show when Prince Philip is dead.
Yeah.
So then it just looks really mean. And I hate that little thing at the beginning of every episode where they're like, chill out, these might be based on actual people, but it's comedy. So
Oof.
chill. Chill. It's like, hey, you can't make fun of my show. Screw you, Gary. You put out a product. We're paying for that product through HBO Max. We have every right to criticize you.
Having that opening disclaimer is like, it's basically the weakest shield to defend against criticism. It's a complete straw man that, like, oh, because this is a parody, we can't criticize it. No, we can criticize it for being unfunny, uncreative, and just all around mean spirited.
And then let's get to Prince George, the character we're following throughout this entire miserable experience. This is condensed, intensified Alan Gregory. He is not likable. And I guess the point that he's a royal snob, but he never suffers the consequences of his actions and he keeps getting worse. That's not fun to watch.
Nope.
And then they try to give him a story arc.
We're going to talk about the musical then.
Yes, Mike, you had the biggest bone to pick with this section. The 3-part musical, or the 3-part story arc. Go ahead.
The fact that they try to do this towards the end of the series when, sure, because this is on a streaming service, there is a kind of sort of through line, but you're disrespecting shows that actually put effort into their stories. B, you're disrespecting musicals. And even if I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Oliver, just everything around, like, surrounding that is just awful.
They treat it like it's a comedy, and that's not funny. None of these jokes land. You're a comedy. Where's the jokes? Where are the laughs? They are nowhere to be found.
I would only like chuckle once in a while, at some of the visual gags. And it's incredibly, like, in poor taste to have released this at all, but also that this is coming out after Prince Philip's death. It makes everything surrounding him just that much more uncomfortable.
Well, not even that, just that. Even if there wasn't the whole royal family fiasco from a few months ago, when, Meghan Markle and Harry went on Oprah to talk about the huge amounts of just hate and racism among the royal family members. It's like, even if that never happened, this show would still be a bad idea. You don't make shows based on stupid, vapid Instagram profiles. This isn't Zola. There's nothing of interest here. It's one poorly made joke. And they keep trying to have a plot. And it's so maddening because I don't care about these characters. I was more interested in Princess Charlotte's Russian spy plot, but that's mostly because Sophie Turner was the only one who showed up to work.
Yeah, like, if they made a show about that, I would be so much more interested.
Same. And I mean, it's not like the others don't do well. They're just not given good material to work with. Like, I like Orlando Bloom. I like Ewan Ryan. And Dan Stevens pulls a double shift as Prince Philip and Prince Charles. And it just shows that Dan Stevens is versatile as an actor. And then, of course, we all talk about Alan Cumming. This show just sucks. HBO knew that they had a dud because the episodes are only 12 minutes long. They released the trailer a day before release, and then just no marketing.
Yep.
Nothing.
They just want to, quietly shit this one out and have people forget about it the next day.
And this stupid show ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, fuck that.
This show's not getting a second season at all. Holy crap. This show, no. No. Even shows like Paradise PD earn their story arcs. This one did not. Even if this somehow got a second season, even if it was just stick figures being voiced by the actors, there's just no way this show is ever going to get better.
Nope.
This is easily one of HBO Max's biggest failures, one of the worst shows of the year, and just the worst cartoon of 2021. And I hate that it's like, oh, big shock. Hoops was the worst cartoon last year, and now it's The Prince. That means adult animation is bad. No. That's not even remotely true. Adult animation goes through so much hell to even get greenlit. There's a reason why a lot of adult animation looks the same. Do not blame the people who have to work on these shows. Like, blame the people greenlighting how everything should look. Because if we can get stuff like The Midnight Gospel, Primal, and even if it's not an adult show, Centaurworld is way more adult than this show will ever be. The Prince is a juvenile, vapid waste of time.
One more question. So, The Prince or Hoops, which one's worse?
I'm too angry to make a thoughtful comment about that. They both suck. They're the worst things that adult animation can offer. Let's move on.
Fair enough. On to Centaurworld.
Something amazing. It's like the polar opposite of quality. This show, we've talked about this show also during the Annecy recap, where they showed the trailer and the cast for this delightful show created by Megan. This show was created by Megan Nicole Dong. It was the biggest surprise of really the last 2 months when the trailer popped up. People were obsessed with this show. They were like, oh my goodness, this show looks wild, crazy. We have to see it. It's trending right now also. Apparently it was number 4 on Netflix.
Nice.
So that's a real good sign of like what's popular right now. This show has legs. So let's actually talk about the show. This is a story is about Horse, voiced by Kimiko Glenn, who, along with her writer, named Ryder, voiced by Jesse Mueller, are traveling across a war-torn landscape, carrying a magical item that will somehow help them beat the war. And after a great lullaby number, Ryder and Horse are separated, and the horse gets isekai'd into another world along with the magical item. What world, you ask? Centaurworld. While she's there, she meets a pretty quirky cast of characters. Wouldn't you say they were pretty out there, Mike?
That's an understatement.
Indeed. This includes Durpleton, a giraffe-like centaur voiced by Josh Radnor, Wamawink, a llama-like centaur voiced by Megan Hilty, Zulius, a zebra-like centaur voiced by Parvish Sheena, Ched, a tiny finch centaur voiced by Chris Diamantopoulos, Glendale, a Gerenuk-like centaur voiced by Megan Nicole Dong herself, and Horse convinces them to take an adventure through the Centaurworld to find the remaining pieces of this magical key that could take her home to Ryder and her world. Mike, what did you think about this show?
Boy, where to even start?
Sum it up first before we dive into it.
I think the best way I can describe this is you take a blender and you combine like Broadway musicals, with Saturday morning cartoons, modern shows like Adventure Time, Gravity Falls, and then you mix that with something darker like Avatar: The Last Airbender or Gargoyles, throw in a little bit of the Disney Renaissance, and you get this delightful, wonderful, weird melting pot of pretty much like all of the influences that like people our age grew up on.
Yeah, this is just another fantastic show released by Netflix. Like, we have our many complaints about Netflix and how they handle their shows and their release strategies, but they are letting creative people do really what they want to do. It's like Jorge Gutierrez said during Annecy, what is something that you want to make that couldn't get made otherwise, like on a normal TV channel? And you wouldn't see something like Centaurworld on like Cartoon Network or even Adult Swim or Nickelodeon or Disney.
It's too specific a combination.
It is, and yes, this first season is 10 episodes long, but there's a lot to this show that those 10 episodes fill up. Because on the outside, it looks like most modern cartoons. It looks like Adventure Time, Steven Universe, Gravity Falls, Infinity Train. What is exactly different about this show?
Aside from the fact that it's a musical.
Yes, besides that, I think it's really the experience. First off, the animation for this show is great. Just knockouts. Like, just some of the best TV series animation of the year so far.
Oh, I agree with that.
It's super expressive, like expressive to almost overload. But even then, the overload is so good. They just go the distance with how they make these characters express their words, the songs. It's really impressive.
And each character has like their own unique way of expression. Like one of my favorite gags is Glendale, whenever she gets nervous or anxious, her eyes start to like expand.
Yeah, and I mean, they give all these characters their own little quirks that make them stand out. So it's not just constant noise. Don't let that first episode fool you and how goofy this show can be. It can be really goofy, and for the most part, it is very funny. It's very wacky, which I like. It's a perfect kind of cartoony, like, silliness that I love. I think Derpleton is my favorite character of the show. Maybe next to Zulius.
I just love his name, Derpleton.
And well, he's the first character you meet in Centaurworld. Now he's just like, well, it's like the song says, we have no sense of personal space. Real, and the music. Oh my gosh, the music for this show is so good. There's a variety of song styles and tunes, and they're all really good, even the short ones.
I was kind of unprepared for how many songs they would pack into like a single episode. Like 3 doesn't seem like a lot, like over the span of what is like 25, 26 minutes. But like it's usually 3 bangers. That's the thing.
Yes, and everyone gets to sing. It's really like everyone has a good singing voice. You can tell that the people working on this show were like not only in the voice cast, but just everyone involved were musical theater kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because they were able to make the songs flow through the story. Like they never just stopped to have a song, which is like the pitfall of most animated films or shows that try to be like Disney, where it's just like, okay, here's the point where we have the song, so we got to halt everything, and then we'll pick up the story after the song sequence. Every song has a point to it. Even the goofiest ones, like when Derpleton wants to know where food comes from. Like, I'm so impressed. Like, and the music kind of reminds me of like the energy that you would see from like the Avenue Q people.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
It reminds me of a lot of the songs that you would hear from like the 2011 Winnie the Pooh film in that regards, which is funny because, the same people who worked on Avenue Q wrote the music for Winnie the Pooh. Well, anyway, back onto the show. And while this show does look goofy and wacky and just really bright and in your face,
when it gets dark, it gets dark.
So, spoilers from here on out. These characters have a lot of baggage attached to them. There are themes of abandonment, loss, abuse, death, and the most, tightrope of topics to go across, depression. And you wouldn't expect that they would go this hard for a show like this, but you kind of pick up on it very early on that something is just up with everyone.
By the way, did you notice, like, speaking of depression, when Horace finally meets the Nowhere King and, his appearance is all kind of sludgy, did you get a Never-Ending Story vibe from that?
Yeah, the Nowhere King is first of all, he's a scary mofo, just because for a while the show was very much like very quirky, funny, My Little Pony kind of show. And then at the very end, it turns into Dark Souls. Because the song is very creepy about the Nowhere King, and then you see him morph and form, and it's like, oh, this is what they were having to watch out about. Can we go back to the singing? No. It works. Like, you are able to pace out the drama and just like the characters with their, what they have going on for them. And some of them do get more of the focus every once in a while. Like Zulius kind of gets his own episode. Horse and Wamawink get their own episode when they see the tree shamans.
That was one of my favorite episodes, when you actually get to learn more about why Wamawink is the way that she is.
It's really touching, and then they wrap it around from the first episode when Horse sings that lullaby that Ryder sang to her, the "You're okay, you're all right," and it's really touching. And that's saying something when, like, for some reason, a major part of Durpleton's character is that he wants his farts to tell him he's a good boy. And
Yeah,
at first I was like, I don't know if I'm okay with this. But then you kind of see the, the subtext of it all. It's like, oh, there's something going on with Durpleton. Even like the characters in the show kind of bring it up, like with Ched being like, so who wants to deal with that? Do you have like a favorite character, Mike?
I kind of love all of the main cast like equally, but I want to talk about some of the side characters because there's two voice actors I just learned are in this. One of them we talked about off air, David Johansen as Beartar, and Johansen plays the ghost of Christmas Past on Scrooged. And Scrooge is one of my favorite movies of all time, so to hear him show up as like another villainous creature who, let's be honest, is basically just like a neckbeard, but a monster.
I mean, he's like a nerd historian, and he kind of helps Horse like with like some of the lore and backstory of Centaurworld.
And just in general, like just what's going on with the war and everything.
Yeah, even though Glendale kind of blurts it out during the Centaurworld song, which is like, even though we've been at war with a bunch of invading warriors. And then everybody's like, shh, shh, shh. No, we agreed that we weren't going to talk about that.
The other guest star is Flula Borg as Comfortable Doug.
Oh, the scene stealer. Comfortable Dog.
I can't believe I didn't recognize him at first, that was Flula, but it just makes so much sense the way he talks.
Oh, it's delightful. They get a lot of good guest stars for each episode. Like, as Durpleton's talking farts, you got Tony Hale. And then later on, when Horse's tail starts talking, he's voiced by Paul F. Tompkins.
Great
Which
casting.
Paul F. Tompkins is so good. He's such an underrated comedy actor. And we'll be talking about him more once we get to Jellystone, because he plays Magilla Gorilla in that show.
Oh, wow. I'm
Yeah.
excited for that.
And then we get Johanna and Clara Soderbergh of the band First Aid Kit, which I know Haley was just like, wait, what? They're in this? And they play the tree shamans, and they're great too. They're very creepy because they have this whole gimmick of like, it might not be what you want, but it's what you need with their wishes. And those all have like very funny results. Like Ched, he's very standoffish towards Horse at first. And then he gets his wish and turns into a horse and just panic modes. Probably my favorite gag of the show was when that happened. And then we also have Santagold as Judge Jacket. These Moltars are very creative, in my opinion, and this whole show is very creative with the whole centaur concept. It's just that the Moltars, their noses are their bodies, and they can't see anything. And they do a few funny visual gags with that, like when Comfortable Doug talks with his friend. He's like, "Oh yeah, Jenny, she's got my side on things." And then she appears from above him, and she's like, "Yeah, we're always agreeing on things." And they try to do a high five, and
they're just missing the whole time.
Yeah. And then we also have Fred Armisen, who is this flamboyant cat tar in Qatar Valley, which I'm sure they were making fun of cats, or it was just like a parody of cats.
It definitely felt like a cat parody.
There's no way this was not a cat parody. And then, of course, we have like Jamie Cullen as Sunfish Murguy. And then Rosalie Craig as the Whale Tar Shaman. And then, of course, Brian Stokes Mitchell as the Nowhere King, who is, again, this voice cast right down to the guest stars.
There's one we haven't talked about yet. Renee Elise Goldsberry as Water Baby.
Oh, yes, this hippo centaur that really just tells them what they need to do.
And if that name sounds familiar, she's on
Hamilton.
Yes. I think she was Angelica.
Yeah. And she's really good. And her interactions with Wamawink are really funny because they have a history together.
Mm-hmm.
Just how they're like, "Hey, Wamawink, hey, Water Baby," and they're just trying to awkwardly hug one another. Like, this show really lands with a lot of its humor. There are some jokes where I'm just kind of like, eh. But then they'll throw in something like Ched going just like, "What are you, my dentist that comes over every time my dad's out of town? Sheesh, we don't need to know everything, horse." And it's like, "Ched, you want to talk about that?" As you can tell, we enjoy this 100 times more. No, 1,000,000 times more than The Prince.
Obviously.
And then there's this really interesting character arc for Horse. Because throughout the show, she starts out, like, this was a major complaint that apparently a lot of people had, is that Horse looked way too much like a Disney horse compared to everyone else.
I can kind of see, I don't know where specifically the Disney comparisons come in, but
the more cartoony, quasi-realistic horse, like the ones that you'd see in like Hunchback or Pocahontas.
Right. Like
it doesn't reach that point of like Tangled where it's like this great cartoony, realistic horse. It's more just like the ones that you would see as like just the animals, not them as characters and such.
Right.
But then as the story goes on, Horse, her body and just form changes to more bubbly and cartoony, or as she describes it, as two beach balls had a weird baby. And at first I thought this was like an interesting maybe form of commentary talking about how animation has changed, because you can kind of see it that way just a little bit. But then after rewatching this show 2 and 3 more times, it's definitely more of just her losing the edges. Like, she should not look like what defined her, like her experiences and the trauma and such. Don't let that mold you. And when she turns into like a horse that looks like she's from Centaurworld, she like it's just her being more comfortable with herself.
She's letting her guard down, accepting her surroundings, and really like forming meaningful bonds with her new family.
Right. And man, the character dynamics in this show are great. Everyone works well off one another. I never thought once of like, man, they didn't need this character, or like, oh my goodness, I wish this character wasn't on screen. I love them all. And that just helps with all this good writing that they have. And Megan just did a good job shaping this world and these characters. And I can totally see why she wanted Glendale. Because Glendale might be the funniest character of the show.
If I had to pick a favorite of the main cast, Glendale is, no pun intended, the scene stealer.
Well, that's because she's a kleptomaniac. She metaphorically and literally steals the scene. Like the first time you see her and she sees a magical artifact, she's like, is the horse going to want that? Because, mama like.
I love how like she has a portal stomach.
And she'll just like suck up anything that she can get her hands on. And I love when they get thrown into Moltar jail, where the horse is like, how long have we been down here? 10 whole seconds.
And already she's like, prison's changed me.
Yeah, she has like a muscular torso, and then she starts singing prison blues. Oh man, she had the best punchline of that whole episode when they get out of the hole, and then she digs herself out. And she's like, it was one hell of a circus down there. Oh, hey guys. And like, hey, Glendale, we didn't forget you and not miss you at all. We totally forgot about her and we missed her. This does not leave any of us. We take this to our grave. It's just a pleasant show, and it does that great thing that a lot of cartoons do, where they use a very offbeat setting to talk about real issues. Like even with stuff like Zulius, when he enters the Qatar kingdom, he's probably I think he has like the best moments of just like, oh, I don't have obvious problems. I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, what's with the hair curler things? Or it's like, none of your business. And then like spraying the cats with water and then wearing a robe. I think Zulius might be the funniest. I don't know. I like all these characters. They're all very funny in their own ways.
It's hard to pick between the main cast because they all, like I said, they all have their own unique quirks. And because each one has at least like, if not a whole episode, then just like one particular subplot that's like devoted to them. I just love the show and these characters so much.
And this is why like Netflix so far this year has been making like the best show, like new shows. Because otherwise, Owl House is really freaking good this year.
We'll talk about Owl House season 2A once we reach the mid-season finale.
Right. And so far, Netflix has hit it out of the park. And they have such distinct shows and movies for really everyone. You have Kid Cosmic for the superhero action adventure stuff. Then you have like America the Motion Picture for your adult comedies. You have the Mitchells versus the Machines for your overall family films. You have City of Ghosts, which is your like family show with a very distinct field and low-key vibe. And then we have Centaurworld, which is really for everyone. Like, I mean, you can make arguments that it's definitely more for adults in some ways, not in like, oh, they curse and it's super gory and violent. It's just, this show gets dark.
I'd say this show, it's for that young adult audience that really latched on to shows like Infinity Train, Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts. I said Adventure Time already, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Adventure Time, Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts, Infinity Train. That's basically your target audience for this. plus musical theater nerds.
Right. I mean, like this might be a good show for kids as well. Like, yes, it gets a little dark at points for like really young kids, but I think this show has a way of like showing kids that like, hey, you might be feeling this specifically, like sadness, depression, and all that stuff. Like, I think it would be important to show them this show. Also, it's like how kids watched Inside Out and then are like, oh, now I have an easier way to tell my family how I'm feeling because Inside Out showed me how. It like Centaurworld is, I think it's tied to City of Ghosts as my favorite new cartoon of 2021 so far.
Those two are tough acts to follow.
Well, and they're just so different because you wouldn't say Centaurworld is like Kid Cosmic or Kid Cosmic is like City of Ghosts. It's just great. This is why I like Netflix and their animation teams. The teams that make these shows and films for Netflix are telling distinct stories. I might not like every show, like we talked about over and over again, Hoops, and I might not enjoy Paradise PD, but there's something for everyone. It's not for me, so I'll just watch something that they give me that attracts me or appeals to me. So I definitely recommend watching it.
Yeah, this is one you just have to experience for yourself. Like, we gushed a lot about this show, but you won't really know what it's like until you try it for yourself. And I really hope you do, because it's amazing.
It definitely ends on like, I'm hoping we're going to get a second season. I think we will.
I think we will too, but
I want to see at least 3 seasons.
that's a good solid length for this.
Because this is definitely a more story focused show. Because like every episode mostly pushes the story forward. And that's the beauty of animation and this time period of animation. We can have episodic syndicated like single story episodes, or we can have story driven shows, and they can both exist in the same area. Sorry, it just, people kind of dismiss one type of storytelling in animation, and I'm just like, no, animation is not limited. Please don't do that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But now we must move on to our next stop at the Ghibli journey. One of, if not the biggest Ghibli film out there. The one that I would argue was the film that put Ghibli on the map in the US. It's basically the one I think helped put Ghibli on the map in the US. Because yes, they tried with other films beforehand, but they weren't really like the biggest things ever. They were just like, oh, this was a pretty good movie. Oh, the Studio Ghibli? Oh, all right. They make pretty good movies. And then I know they tried with Princess Mononoke, and now it's supposed to be the big one. The big, like, yes, Studio Ghibli will be a household name. And it just ended up as a major critical success among the film critics and film people, but then not really anyone else. But then in 2002, we got Spirited Away. Mike, what did you think about this movie?
So it's not my favorite, but I think this is undeniably Miyazaki's crowning achievement as a filmmaker. Strictly from an animation perspective, this is like one of the first times, this and to a lesser extent Princess Mononoke, where Miyazaki was really kind of experimenting with computer animation. This looks just gorgeous. Everything from from the architecture to the food porn, and there's a lot of food porn. The first time I saw this movie was, I don't know, like 15 or so years ago. I don't think I even saw like the whole thing, just kind of like parts of it. The parts I remember are the ones with Suzanne Pleshette as Yubaba and Zeniba. But yeah, this There's just a lot to love about this movie. I'm not even sure where to start because there's a lot to this one.
So, as many will know, this is one of my 3 favorite Ghibli films. It's this, Castle in the Sky, and the yet to be talked about Porco Rosso. This was really the first film for me that got me into Studio Ghibli. What really kind of drove me to like foreign theatrical animation. It's one of those, it's that movie that just hit at the right time. And this film has a kind of an interesting production history of, because Miyazaki retired for the first time after Princess Mononoke, because he was like, okay, I'm done. I have no more stories to tell. But then during a family vacation, he saw these girls reading, I think it was like a magazine or like a Shonen Jump kind of thing. And he was just like, oh, what do little girls see as heroes?
There were 2 shoujo manga,
Yeah.
Nakayoshi and Riban.
And he saw that it was all like the magical girl stuff. And he was, well, he was Miyazaki. He was kind of appalled. He was like, what the heck is this? Okay, after this vacation's over, I'm going to go back into the studio and make another movie. I mean, that's not really what happened, but why else would he be driven to do so? Because, he's Miyazaki.
He always has to be the king of the castle.
Yeah, because he's like, nah, Makoto Shinkai made your name? No. We're going to make I'm going to make one more movie. Screw that. I still want to be king. And I say this in jest, of course. It's just, it's those directors who are like, oh, I'm done. And then once in a while, he's like, actually, I have a great idea for a movie.
That's the thing, like, I always say about directors who retire too early. Like, you can't retire from being creative.
Right. So let's actually talk about the story. So the main story revolves around a young girl named Chihiro who's moving into a new place with her parents, and her dad, voiced by Michael Chiklis, takes a wrong turn and ends up like in front of this weird wall, and he thinks it's an abandoned amusement park. They make their way through and they see this little village area, and it's full of restaurants, and Chihiro's parents end up, well, gorging on the food there while Chihiro goes and explores like everything else, and then runs into a young boy named Haku, voiced by Jason Marsden. And Haku is just like a human. Oh no, you got to get out of here. And as Chihiro tries to escape the village, her parents are turned into pigs, and she ends up stuck there on the other side of this gorge area where there was no water before, and now there's water. And it turns out she's in the spirit world, where a bunch of spirits come to this one little area, eat, and then go to the massive bathhouse that the whole place is built around. It is up to her to find the courage to get her parents back and leave this place while finding out the mysteries of this town and this bathhouse. So, Mike, this movie is 20 years old. This movie came out when I was 11. Oh my goodness. What would you say was the main, what's the main appealing factor of this movie? What would you say it is?
I think it's just like all the fantasy elements, the, I guess, kind of wish fulfillment of, escaping to just like a world full of wonder, full of intrigue. And I guess just from a design standpoint, like all of the different character designs of like the spirits, probably the most recognizable is No Face.
We'll talk about him, though I'm partial to the Radish spirit. That was always like one of my family's favorite characters.
Oh yeah, the Radish spirit. Those things were cute.
And it was definitely like people, or at least major and casual film goers, have never seen a world like this. They've seen like samurai films and very like we take historical accuracy with no sense of like trying to be realistic shows and movies. And here we have this young girl who gets trapped here. And it's a coming of age story because Chihiro like journeys through the bathhouse, first encountering Kamaji the boiler guy, who's played probably in his best performance, if I had to pick one, by David Ogden Stiers. Like, to me, this was like his best performance. And of course, David Ogden Stiers, you all would know him as Cogsworth from Beauty and the Beast.
Yep. And General Radcliffe from Pocahontas.
And Dr. Jumba Jukiba from Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, by the way, the other Lilo and Stitch alumnus.
Oh, yeah. Chihiro is played by Davy Chase, who voices Lilo. And that was interesting to find out years later, because I was like, who voices this girl? And it makes sense because I think Lilo and Stitch came out around the same time period.
In the US, they were released around in the same year.
That makes sense. And then, of course, Chihiro meets the ever snarky Lynn, voiced by Susan Egan,
who is Megra from Hercules.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, she's great in this. I love Susan Egan. And then she meets the titular Yubaba, voiced by Susan Plachette. And Yubaba is just a great character. Like, one of the big selling points of this film's story is that there's no real bad guy. I mean, Yubaba is kind of evil, but she's more just like a very strict, no chill businesswoman. She's trying to make sure the crowd and everyone is happy at the bathhouse. You steal the food from the spirits, well, you're going to get punished. Because there is more to her than just being an evil witch.
I never bought her as evil, more as just kind of no nonsense.
And because she does have like a soul, even though that's amusing to say. She does have, I mean, she's done bad things. Like, she takes Haku's name, like actual name, and Chihiro's name, and Chihiro's name during a majority of the film is Sen. But she also has a kid that she loves to death. And by the way, Bo, the giant baby that you meet, is voiced by Tara Strong.
God, this voice cast is so good.
I think this voice cast is probably the most understated like voice cast of like a Ghibli movie, because I don't think about the voice cast when it comes to Spirited Away. Like, it's not the first thing that pops up in my mind. It's not like The Wind Rises or My Neighbors the Yamadas, where it's like, oh, the voice cast is a major selling point. They went at this like how a lot of Disney films go about casting for their animated films. It's who would fit this role. Doesn't matter if
that makes a lot of sense, because they for this cast specifically, they did get a lot of the Disney alumni, like Jason Marsden, we know from
Goofy movie, he's Max.
Yep.
And then we have like Bob Bergen and Lauren Holly, Paul Eiding, John Ratzenberg pops up here, and then Bob Bergen plays Arugeru, the little frog guy, and No Face. We'll get to No Face in a second.
Oh, and the voice of Squidward, Robert Bumpus, plays the Bandai Geru, or the foreman.
Oh yeah, that's right. And it's a very good cast. It's like, you don't think of it like, oh, this is A-tier Ghibli dubs cast, but it is. It's probably the best one, at least in my opinion. Though that that's not saying like the ones for like Princess Mononoke are bad. It's just the right voices for the right characters.
Agreed.
And probably also Joe Hisaishi's probably one of his most iconic scores. Like I still think about that piano sequence. The dun 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 dun. Like even when I'm not watching the movie, uh, eh, like it's just a beautiful score, and it's one that sticks with you. I mean, granted, that's because Joe is a beast.
Mm-hmm. And I really do think he should be in like the discussion of greatest composers of all time.
Right. And I think like what makes this movie amazing, just like outside of like the writing, the animation and such, though the animation is great. I think it's really this was Miyazaki firing on all cylinders. It felt like the most balanced of of what he likes to talk about, like strong female characters, his environmental messages, which I thought was used in a like in one of the more creative ways in his filmography. Because then sometimes I feel like he undersells it or oversells it. But I like how they handle it here when like they have to deal with that massive stink spirit,
Mm.
and how they like Chihiro finds like a quote unquote thorn in the side of the stink spirit, and then pulls out and it's just all this junk, all this mud and gunk.
Basically pollution.
Yeah, pollution. And the film also talks about something that's very interesting. It like I said, it's a coming of age story, but it's also the power of someone's name. Because Yubaba holds the power over Haku and Chihiro by taking their names, like literally taking their names, then giving them a different one. And I think that's really cool to see. Well, it's a very interesting approach to a more antagonistic character. And like it's a little more complex because you don't see that, like the power of names
Yeah,
and such.
it's a subject that not a lot of views really touch upon. Like, you know, that question of what's in a name. It dives maybe not that deep, but deep enough that your name is tied to like specific memories
Right.
and like your personality.
I guess it's time to talk about one of the creepiest characters in any animated film. Let's talk about No Face. At first, he kind of shows up just very faintly, just in the background, and he stands out because that's just a great design. That freakish mask of his. Well, and then just his whole figure is just like this ghost like being. And a lot of the designs are great here. Like, I love Kamaji the Boiler Man, and I love how the little soot spirits look.
Oh, those soots are adorable.
Oh, they are. They're they're just a great little moment in the film. But with No Face, like Chihiro lets him in because she's kind, because she just thinks he's just another customer at the bathhouse. And then he eats the little frog guy.
That's when he kind of becomes this
Greedy.
This like all consuming monster.
Because he's like he's alone. He's like he has some kind of depression stuck to him because of this like of his loneliness, and that thinking that like I can just give you everything you want. It's that feeling of like Kubo and the Two Strings talked about, where emotions equal life, and he thinks that like I will heal my wounds, my metaphorical wounds, by giving you gold, and if you don't like that, I'll eat you. And it like, and again, he's not really a bad guy. He's just volatile and just makes bad mistakes. And I know it's like we're kind like, I don't know. What do you think about this?
It's a really poignant sort of metaphor for, you know, for how we all kind of deal with our emotions and how some people deal with them in more healthy ways, and others will be just consumed by them.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. And that's what's so great about Miyazaki films. A lot of the best ones do not have outward bad guys. Like even like Nausicaa and well, Castle in the Sky, they don't have outward bad guys. And even like The Wind Rises doesn't have straightforward bad guys. I It's just fun to see a studio so committed to like it's not going to be black and white, it's going to be a gradient. And then there's just so many iconic scenes in this movie. Like when the boat arrives with the spirits, when Chihiro runs down the stairs.
Oh yeah.
That freaked me out as a kid. And then see the stink spirit or you see the radish spirit for the first time. I love the little sequence when Lynn helps Chihiro get into the elevator with the radish spirit and distracts the employee guy with the roasted newt. That's just a great little scene. I think I'd want to eat a newt, but this whole film's like way of showing off food, it's like, I don't know, I guess I'd try a fried newt.
Yeah, as far as like favorite scenes, honestly, I think pretty much every scene in the bathhouse is iconic in one way or another. But if I had to choose one, it's the first time that we see what do they call it? The like herb token or whatever.
Oh yeah, the bath tokens.
Yeah.
And then it's just like there's the sequence. Well, it's like we could just talk about every scene. Like almost every scene is iconic. It's that feeling of like every frame's a painting. Like when Chihiro encounters No Face when after he's like big and just corrupt, and then the whole sequence there. But I would have to say the best sequence in the film, or at least one of two, is when Chihiro, and everyone talks about this scene because it's just so good. Just like a perfect movie scene. Like from start to finish, 100%, no faults movie scene. Is when Chihiro gets on the train with her little friends and No Face. It's all visual storytelling and Joe Hisashi's gorgeous musical score. And it's just them sitting down. And there's just so much that you can take away from it.
I think that scene is just it's permanently ingrained like in my subconscious.
It's like I said, it's a perfect scene. And to me, this is like a perfect movie, or what I would define as a quote unquote perfect movie.
I agree with that.
And it's all just like from the story up to that point of Chihiro growing up and becoming a tougher, more self-sustainable individual. And just like her nervousness just went away after she got on the train and she was ready to encounter Yubaba's twin sister, Zeniba, to help Haku. And I was watching it yesterday and my dad kind of pointed out like the lamp thing that they encounter looks like something from the Muppets. But I also know that lamp thing is a play on the iconic Pixar lamp.
I mean, Miyazaki and
the head of the time, John Lasseter, were very close.
Mm-hmm.
It was just interesting to see that because as a kid, I was like, oh, that's a cool way to animate a lamp. And then it's like, oh, duh, it's a Pixar reference. And I love that like Zeniba is just entirely different. I mean, she looks like Yubaba, but she's just chill. She actually has chill. And I love the whole like punchline of like, oh, I got my seal back. Oh, how did you break it? And then Chihiro thinks like, oh, that slug thing? Well, I squashed it. And then Zeniba's just like, ha! Oh man, that was the thing that was controlling Haku. And I can't believe you did it. Well, and also one of my favorite scenes, but just going to rewind back a little, is when Chihiro comes back from seeing her parents in the pig pen. And you see that Kamaji like looks over and and it's just like he's kind of tough of her at first because he's just like, I'm so busy, I had to run all the heat and the bath stuff. And then he sees her sleeping next to where the soot spirits come out, and he puts that little pillow over her. It's like, oh, that's
Aww.
adorable. And then later on when he gives her the tickets, and Jen is just like, or Lin is like, what the heck's going on? And Kamaji gets one little like, it's like an emotional story beat, but it's also kind of a jab at Lin. So like, it's something you wouldn't recognize. It's called love. It's like, okay, you're a sassy little sarsaparilla, Kamaji, and but though then I think my second favorite scene is when Haku returns to Zuniba's to take Chihiro and the crow and the baby who are turned into little animals back to the bathhouse. And Chihiro realizes that she knows Haku, who was the spirit of the Kohaku River. They're like gliding, like not parachute falling down, but just like gliding through the air. And just the tears coming off of them and such.
It's another great example of Miyazaki just like throwing in his love of flying. He manages to do that in at least all the movies that we've watched for the podcast.
Yeah, and again, it's just like this movie's so good at its story. Like I said, I think this is like Miyazaki at his most fine-tuned. Because you do get little glimpses of a memory that Chihiro has, but they never like cut away from the main story. They show like little glimpses of it, but they don't take like 10 minutes to explain it. You get that Chihiro is remembering something, and it just happens to be at that time period of when they're returning that she remembers and she explains it. And I just love that. It's good storytelling because anime can sometimes fall into the trap of having to be the exposition dump and such.
But this is a great example of show don't tell.
I mean, granted, I know Chihiro is talking to Haku, but it's told well. It's executed well. Like I said, I just love this movie. I really don't have any complaints about it.
Me neither. It's perfect.
It really is. There's a reason why this movie won Best Animated Feature during the second Oscars that had the Best Animated Feature Oscar. And it beat out quite a lot of movies. And there are just like also smaller little details about this film. Like Kirk Wise was the director of the English dub. And he also directed Beauty and the Beast, which of course got them nominated for Best Picture.
Yep.
Which I thought Spirited Away should have been nominated for Best Picture, but that's just neither here or there. Like there was just something about Spirited Away that won the world over, and then that's when Disney was like, "Okay, we'll bring over a mass majority of the films, except for Only Yesterday and Ocean Waves."
Right, but yeah, it's because of this movie that Studio Ghibli became the household name that they are.
There's a reason why this was a lot of people's first Ghibli film, or first major Ghibli film. Like I said, I know different times Kiki's Delivery Service and My Neighbor Totoro were brought over first, but nobody really cared until Spirited Away came out, and then everyone started to rediscover the films. And we'll have to hope we get to Kiki's Delivery Service and all the others in good time. But yeah, I mean, obviously, from what you can tell, this is a huge recommendation if you, for some reason, haven't seen this movie yet.
Please go see this one as soon as possible.
I know they're doing a Fathom Events Ghibli Fest screening of this film, though knowing what's going on in the world right now, I don't know if they're going to cancel it or not, but you can watch this film on HBO Max if you want to. Or you could just own all the movies, because that's what I do. Before we get to recommendations, Mike, do you have anything else to say about Spirited Away?
I said pretty much everything that I needed to. As far as where it ranks on the Ghibli list, it's in my top 3. As of right now, there is kind of a 3-way tie between Castle in the Sky, Spirited Away, and The Wind Rises. I think these each kind of represent like specific milestones in Ghibli, sure, but Miyazaki's personal growth as a filmmaker.
Right. No, I understand. Yeah, and like I said, Spirited Away's in my top 3, along with Castle in the Sky and Porco Rosso. It might be my favorite movie of all time. Like, I have to think about it, but I'm really comfortable with saying it's my favorite movie of all time.
It's a damn good one.
Yeah, it's a classic for a reason. But before we get to recommendations, let's spin the wheel.
Wheel of Ghibli, turn, turn, turn.
What are you going to give us? Well, I was kind of hoping for Porco Rosso, but we are going to have to take a quick stop to 2011/2013 with the Hayao Miyazaki written but Goro Miyazaki directed From Up on Poppy Hill.
Oh, we're taking a Goro break.
Yeah, and this might be his best movie, even though I still have plenty of complaints about it.
This will be interesting.
I think it's actually quite charming, but I also think that is because Miyazaki wrote it. Like, not to take everything away from Goro, but after you watch Earwig and the Witch, you kind of have to retrospectively go backwards and see what happened. But we'll have to see how that goes. But I can't wait for you to see it. It was like the first Ghibli film that G Kids picked up.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really the one that got them started with their relationship with the company. And it has a great voice cast too. That's probably also one of the best voice casts for a Ghibli film. But we'll just talk about it next time.
As for recommendations, the one that jumped out to me, and I kind of mentioned this in my quick thoughts for Spirited Away, I kind of find that movie to be like Miyazaki's version of Alice in Wonderland. The classic 1950 Disney animated film. And we know how big of a Disney fan Miyazaki was. Like, those movies were like a huge influence on his art style. So it does kind of make sense that he would eventually make his kind of sort of tribute to a movie from his childhood.
Right. Now, so you're talking about the original Disney animated film?
Yep.
Yeah, I like that one. I rewatched it recently when my sister and I were hanging out, and we both very much enjoyed it. Now, for my recommendation, we'll talk more about this show next time, but I think everyone needs to go to HBO Max, and instead of watching The Prince, please watch Jellystone, the new cartoon by C.H. Greenblatt, who made, he's the guy who made Chowder and Harvey Beaks. I just think he's a super talented, really creative individual who just unfortunately got the short end of the stick on Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. I have to say his take on the Hanna-Barbera characters are great. Some of the best laughs you'll have this year.
Even just like the clip that they released a couple days ago with the food coma joke, that killed me.
I think my two favorite jokes from there was when Huckleberry Hound launched the flare into the sky, and it says a flare in the shape of his head, and then it just goes, help. And then like when Cindy Bear is trying to be like all cool and CSI Miami and such with the wordplay, and Huckleberry Hound is just like, Cindy, please. I'm sorry I had to yell at you. Even though that's how he sounds like at all times. Like, I was not ready to laugh as hard as I was when I was watching the show, and I had to really stay quiet at my place because I was ready to laugh way too hard. And it's just a good show. I don't want people to ignore it because it's based off of the old Hanna-Barbera characters, but we'll talk about that next time.
I'm excited to finally get to watch that. But speaking of next time, our next show we will be talking about Jellystone. We've got From Up on Poppy Hill, and anything else you want to mention for next week?
We're going to be talking about the one and only Vivo. We're going to talk about it. I'm excited. I've seen it already. It's really good. It's another hit from Sony Pictures Animation, but again, we'll talk about that next time.
That'll be a fun show. But for now, Cameron, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at CamsEyeView. I have a website called camseyeview.biz where I review animated films and shows called The Other Side of Animation. I have a Patreon at patreon.com/camseyeview. If you like my work, you can support me that way, and that's where you can find me.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at CaptainK42. You can check out all my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. Find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can also look for us on Podchaser. We are still developing the Patreon, details to be determined. You can listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need escape? So do we. That'll do it for this episode of Renegade Animation. Thank you guys for joining, and we will catch you guys later. Peace out.
Bye.